cranks nice. It'll even idle on its own. I don't have my microphone on, so hopefully you can hear me. But it does have a definite miss. I think some new plugs and plug wires will fix that. I pulled the filler cap and the breather on valve covers, and I am getting oil up to the rocker arms on both sides. Look down in there and I can see fresh, wet oil. So that's good. I found a new voltage regulator and a new starter solenoid or starter relay. Some people call it a relay, some people call it a solenoid. We've always called them solenoids around here. So a new starter solenoid. I put those on, then I'll be able to crank it from inside with the key. Some of you may comment on my cheap Walmart tools, but they work. That's all I care about. I do have more expensive, better tools in there, but these are handy because they're already in the set. I don't even think I've ever used it. Yeah, I have. I've used some of these before, but I just put them back. But it's handy. They're already right here, so I'm going to use them. Well, I've been stupid this whole time. I've been sticking a screwdriver in there to hold the choke open. Well, all I had to do was this. Why didn't I do that? I don't know. Just wasn't thinking. Oh well. I don't know. He'll be all right. Now that I've changed out the solenoid and the voltage regulator. The old voltage regulator may have been okay, but had a new one. It's easy to change out. It's 2 bolts. Let's see if it'll crank with its own key now instead of having to jump it, because that jumper wire gets hot. Well, worked off the key a few times. Now it's not wanting to work on the key, but it could be just a wire or something vibrated loose. I think the timing may be off a little bit, the reason it's spitting back. But it still has a definite miss. We'll get it figured out. Okay, well, it's another day. Didn't get anything done yesterday. Had to work on the lawnmower, but getting ready to put the drive shaft in. And these caps were just laying in a plastic bowl there in the trunk. And there was a little bit of dust in them, but not too bad. And I was going to go ahead and buy new U-joints. I went ahead and popped this one out and everything and looked at it. These caps appear to be okay, but these have a little bit of wear in them, so I was going to order new ones. And they told me they're different for a straight shift and automatic. And this originally used to be a straight shift, but now it's got a C4 automatic. So I got to looking, measuring, wondering what the difference was. And these caps are bigger than these. And since the rear end is original to the car, as far as I know, I'm assuming these were the straight shift size caps, and these are for automatic. I'm not sure what that engine transmission came out of, but I figure this drive shaft probably came out of it too. So, to be able to put new U-joints on, I would have to order 3. One for the yoke, one for back here, and then another one just for the caps, 2 of the caps. So, I'm going to try reusing these old ones. I mean, they're not the best, but they'll be all right for quite a while. It won't be too terrible much trouble to change them out if I have to. But I think they'll be all right for a while. Main thing I was worried about was this drive shaft laying in the trunk. Excuse all this junk. This is just where I had a good solid area to work on that. Main thing I was worried about was this yoke being rusty. And it looks pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper, run over that real quick, smooth it up, and put a little bit of oil on it to just so it'll slide up into the seal on the tail shaft of the transmission real good. I think it'll be all right for a while. Got some 100 grit sandpaper, wet or dry. Should work on that yoke pretty fine. And I'll just put a little bit of WD-40 on that yoke, just so it'll slide up in that tail shaft seal a little easier. And that shouldn't hurt the transmission fluid. And I did get some more transmission fluid put in it. Got new plugs and plug wires. Got some gauges, oil filter. I'm gonna wait about changing the oil filter till I run it and get it good and hot, and let it work all that sludge down to the bottom of the engine. And got some antifreeze. Everything I should need to get it to move and get it running good. All right, now I'm good and dirty. If I get it running, it should move. But it still doesn't have brakes yet. It would be nice to see if it would pull a little bit. So I'm gonna get it off the ramps and set up my plugs and plug wires, and then see how it runs. See if it'll move a little bit under its own power. Well, I need to put some fluid in the transmission, but do that after I change out the plugs and wires. Yeah, getting closer. Oh, and underneath, I would show you under there. It's not pretty. The torque boxes are both rusted up pretty bad. I think they'll be okay. One of the frame rails without that torque box looks pretty bad. I think that's what that replacement rail in the trunk is for. And the floor panel on that side is really bad. The driver's floor pan. The rest of them look good. The trunk floor has some pretty good holes, but nothing terrible. They can all be fixed. Torque boxes, everything. And the frame extension going into the trunk is got some pretty good rust holes in it, but nothing terrible. Like I said, they make replacement parts for all that, and it'll be fine. The gas tank from underneath looks okay. It's got a big dent in it, but I think I can pull it out and clean it out. I think it'll be all right. But for now, I'm just going to run off a jug. All right, let's get it down and get the hood off and change out the plugs and plug wires. And I'm going to gap these spark plugs, and I cannot find my feeler gauges. So anything will work as long as it's right thickness. Those should be between 32 to 35 thousandths gap. And this here is right at 34. And so you zero it up, it's on 0. There's at 34. So that will work. But find a problem right off the bat. This is the old one. This is the new one. Notice anything? Yeah, that'll work. Guess I'll take these plugs back. And when I do, I'll take the old one with me and get the right ones. But for now, I'm going to put this back in, go ahead and change out the wires, and then we'll see how it runs. Okay, well, I got the new plug wires on. They look like a mess, but they're just a universal kit. They'll work for now. I'll get the proper wires later. Spark plugs I bought are not the right size, but I've got another 302 that they might fit in. So, Driveshaft back in, and we're going to try and crank it and see if it'll move a little bit. Maybe too low of transmission fluid, but we'll see. Well, it's still spitting back, so the timing's out, or it's got a sticky valve. Not sure. Could be a couple plug wires crossed. That might be what it is. All right, well, after checking everything, number 2 and number 8 plug wires were crossed. So let's see if it'll fire up and run better now. Something's still not right. A certain type of 302 engine, I think there's two different firing orders for 302s. I have to look it up and see, but I'm going to call it a night for now. We'll get it figured out. Okay, well, last night, tried checking the firing order, and by start 302, for the firing order on this one, the number 2 and number 8 cylinder wires were swapped. So I swapped them back, didn't try to crank or run any better. So I got to looking online because I remember there was another 302 that had a different firing order. 302HO has a different firing order. And so I've got it wired up now for the firing order for 302HO, which I think is the same as the 351 Windsor. And went to try it last night. I think I flooded it and the battery died on me. So I got the battery charging, and I'm going to try it again. I hit the key a minute ago and it's still flooded. Well, I had to choke. So I pressed the pedal too many times, flooded it. But now I remember, hey, I'm supposed to be taking video of this, so it hadn't fired yet since I've changed the firing order. So we're going to try it. Beep. Charger does that. Kicks on and off for some reason. But anyways, I got some of this Seafoam concentrated fuel injector cleaner and upper cylinder lube. So I'm going to put this in with my can of gas because that's fresh. I think 10% ethanol gas, or up to 10%. And I'm going to put this in there to help get the lubrication to the valve stems and everything. And I'm going to pour this whole bottle in there. It says it treats up to 25 gallons. That's about a little over 5 gallons. So that way we'll be sure we get plenty of lube in the upper cylinders. Okay, yeah, I know this engine doesn't have injectors, but it does say using all gasoline engines. Auto marine, small engines, power sports. So it ought to work, or do something anyways. Better than nothing. Still not right. What I may have to do, pull the number 1 spark plug and distributor cap, find top dead center, and then rotate it with a socket ratchet on the crank bolt and see what order the intake and exhaust valves are closing. Mainly all I need to know is the first 2, and then I can tell what firing order it should be. I better check all of them, because he did say it's had a mild cam put in it, the previous owner. And sometimes when you change out the cam, some cams have a different firing order. So I may have to check the firing order for the whole thing with valve covers off, checking each one when the valves are closed, and then we'll know for sure what the firing order is. I may try it one more time like this, and then swap back to the original firing order for a regular 302. Try it then. Could have a stuck valve. If it was a stuck valve, seems like I would have heard the rocker arm tick when I did have it running. And I didn't hear that. Let's try it again. Nope. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that firing order is not right. We'll switch it back to regular firing order and let's see if that does anything different. If not, we're going to have to figure out firing order, which means putting the distributor cap and the valve covers. Because I have no clue what cam is in it. And if the cam does have a different firing order, I would have to know that. But we'll get figured out. What I really need to do to figure out the correct firing order, pull the valve covers. But man, I hate to. They don't leak or nothing. But give me a little better idea of what's going on inside there anyway. So we'll see if I can get vacuum up some of this dust, keep as much of it out of the oil system as I can. Probably go ahead and pull all the plugs so I can rotate it easier. Because it seems to have some really good compression. With the heads being shaved, it's going to have more than normal compression. Because they did tell me the heads were shaved. Alright, well, let's get to pulling some spark plugs, vacuum off the top, pull the valve covers. Then we'll figure out our correct firing order. Now, if you notice, I laid my plugs out in order that they came out, or in the orientation of where the cylinders are. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that way, if there's any difference in the plugs, you'll know which cylinder it came out of. Yeah, gasket is still good. Okay, that's a win. Looks really good inside here. It's really good. All right, it looks pretty good under there. I don't see any sludge. And little bits of trash here and there, but nothing bad. Nothing bad at all. And nothing terrible. Looks like it might be edges. Gasket material, some carbon. I think it's just carbon. This plank mark weighed about changing the oil. Run it with the old oil. As long as it's got viscosity and doesn't have any water in it, it'll flush all these particles down to the bottom of the oil pan, or a lot of them anyways. Okay, I have confirmed that this is just regular 302. It's not a HO. I've confirmed that by firing order. Went through. Right now it's pointing at about where number 1 was on the cap. And I did verify that that was top dead center by pulling the spark plug out and putting my finger over the hole. So right now, you see, there's no pressure on those valves on cylinder number 1. And then 2 cylinders ahead to 3 cylinders ahead, the intake valve should be open or at least partially open. 2 cylinders ahead, it's going to be just about closed. 3 cylinders ahead, it's going to be open. So I verified that, going by which of the intake valves are opening just after the order of number 1 here. I went through and verified it is just a standard 302 firing order. So now that I know that, I can put everything back together and get the firing order right in the plug wires, and should be much closer. I had like that last night. It was still popping through the carburetor, so it could be a sticky valve. I'm hoping that stuff I put in the gas will help. While I've got it open here, I may squirt something down in there. Put a little PB blaster in each one. Since I've already got it open right here, be easy to do. Don't want to spray too much on each one. Don't want to thin the oil out too much, but that should help. Okay, I got the valve covers back on, spark plugs are in. Verified the firing order. You got the firing order and everything straightened out, hopefully. It should run like it's supposed to, even though I did it like this last night and it didn't want to. Hopefully it should run. Maybe that PB blaster I sprayed on the valve stems. Maybe that'll help. So we'll see. Seems to be doing better. It has some carbon on the valves, or some sticky valves still, but it's getting better. Okay, battery should be charged up some. I'll try it again. I put in a couple of quarts transmission fluid. See if it might act like it's going to try to go in gear if I can get it to idle. The vacuum advance wasn't hooked up on the distributor, and I never thought about a vacuum leak on the carburetor because of it. So I hooked that up, and maybe it'll run a little better now. Take out back so we can see how it sounds. These mufflers are rusted out, got some big old holes in them, so just adds to how loud it is. Let me give it a couple of good revs. idling pretty good. It just needs to get hot, break everything loose. Running pretty rich, so carburetor's gotta be adjusted. We're making progress. We'll check the voltage in the battery, and then see about putting a little bit of fluid in the transmission, see if it'll pull a little bit. Ain't go far because I ain't got no brakes yet. So I'm about 14.3 volts on the battery, so that's good. Well, it's a couple days later. My video stopped because my memory got full, and I didn't realize it. After my video stopped, all I did was I put it in gear, it pulled, put it in reverse, it pulled a little bit, put it in drive, it pulled. Then I give it the gas real hard to see if it'd spin a tire, and blew a transmission line. So, gonna patch that up and we'll try it again. Okay, well, I found another one. It'll work. Unless it's just leaked so much where it's not leaking anymore. Try pouring some of this right down its throat. It's seafoam. I couldn't find the Berryman's B12, which is what I wanted, but this sort of worked. Wow, it's loud. Sounds a little better. Still needs work, but it's better. Let it charge again for a little while. That's the same thing it did the other night when it blew the line. Check, the line's still holding up, so we're good there. It just still don't want to quite do a burnout. But we'll move. Now everything I'm doing with this, there's probably a bunch of you screaming at the screen right now. An easier way to do everything, but I'm getting it done. I mean, I'm not a mechanic. Actually, I haven't worked on very many 302s. So we're kind of learning as we go, which is part of the fun of it. Oh, in case you're wondering how safe it is to try and do a burnout when I have no brakes, the direction it's pointing, there's a hill right there, so it's not going to go far. And I was only planning to try and spin the tires just a little ways, and I would put it in neutral before it got very far up here. So it's safe, kind of, ish, safe-ish. There we go. Okay, well, I'm going to see if it'll crank again. It's been charging for a few minutes. If it does crank and run, I'm going to let it idle. I'm going to take the battery charger and extension cord, put them back in. I'm going to pull it up, back over there, and then pull up here so I can point it inside my shop to start working on it and get the brakes and a few other things, check the timing and all that. There's a big storm heading this way, so if it doesn't crank this time, I've got to get it all covered back up because it's about to start raining any minute. I think I may go with a milder carburetor. That Holly 650, you barely touch the gas pedal and it just dumps a ton of fuel in there and it floods it real easy. So I do have an Edelbrock 500 CFM I could put on it. And give it a few more minutes. See if it'll crank. But I don't have much time before the rain starts. Clouds are moving pretty quick. Okay, it's been charging a little bit longer. It should crank this time. the first time it's moved under its own power more than a few feet in 15 years. I get it running a little better before I try a burnout with it though. Even out here on the grass and dirt, it don't seem to want to rev in gear too well. Well, that's going to do it for this part 2. I know that these first 2 videos on this car, part 1, part 2, they get kind of boring and monotonous at times, but I wanted to include everything that was important to me getting this car running again. And I wanted to show that it's not always as easy as putting a battery on one and pouring gas down the carburetor. Sometimes you have to do a few other things to get it up and running again, especially on one that's sat as long as this one has. The previous owner told me 15 years, and I believe it. I've still got about 27 hours of footage to go through on this car. So hopefully by the time I get caught up on my footage over the next couple of months, hopefully it'll be warmer weather again and I'll be back working on the car. Because I hate cold weather. I've always hated cold weather. But especially now, since my radiation and chemotherapy, my teeth are really sensitive. So if I get out in cold air and get to breathing real heavy, working on something, it really hurts my teeth. Anyways, be looking for the next video within a week or 2. And as always, y'all take care.